All right, and then we just got to confirm that the broadcast is live and we are good to go. Aloha and welcome, fellow mystics, seekers, and shifters, to another Paradigm Shift Central live event. This is our Paradigm Shift Central circle discussion. The topic for this week is, what does being spiritual mean to you? My name is Brendon, aka Mystic Spider-Man. I'm the director and facilitator for Paradigm Shift Central. Super honored to be able to welcome everyone here. There's been a lot of shifts, a lot of changes, and a lot of exciting things that we have here to share. And this is actually kind of like our first broadcast as we kind of like enter into a new chapter of Paradigm Shift Central. Before we get into that, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an introduction. We're going to set things up for the circle discussion, then we're going to get right into the discussion. I just want to be able to give a chance here to be able to bring on some of the other creators on screen. So just bringing up all of everybody here on gallery view. So everybody here, just go ahead and just wave to the camera here. You guys can say hello to all the amazing people and wave extra hard for the people listening on Spotify. We've got Natasha, we've got Candace, we've got Shayna, and we've also got Lacey, and I guess River is technically our participant in this as well. So with that said, again, for those of you who may be tuning into this, if this is your first time, again, paradigmshiftcentral.com, go ahead and check it out, because with this, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be hosting a series of ongoing events within the community. This week, for this event, June 14th to 16th, we've got today's circle discussion. Wednesday at 10 p.m. EDT, we've got a full moon global meditation. And then on Thursday at 10 p.m. EDT, we have a members only flow tree workshop. So for the membership, you can check it out at paradigmshiftcentral.com, and you can actually start a 10-day membership trial. And with that, that's going to be able to give you access to the Zoom links. And so you can kind of think about the whole membership thing. Think of it as kind of like Netflix, but for interactive, ongoing professional events hosted by professional conscious media creators. And these are all like interactive events and everything like that. So it's a super awesome membership. We put a lot of heart and intention into it, and we got a lot of awesome conscious creators on board. And again, if you'd like to literally be able to join in for this broadcast and any other circle discussions that we got coming up here, which is a regular thing moving forward from here each week, again, go ahead and check out your membership options on the main website. So with that said, I'm just going to go over a quick introduction in terms of setting the kind of guidelines for the Paradigm Shift Central circle discussion. And again, if you haven't already yet, be sure to check us out on Spotify at Paradigm Shift Radio, and all the links for the membership and everything like that are in the info for this video on YouTube. So before we get started, here are a few guidelines and reminders. Paradigm Shift Central circles are an intentional, sacred digital space created to host inspirational, conscious conversations to nurture our spirit and build community. Circles are recorded and available to the public on YouTube and Spotify. You can join on air for Paradigm Shift Central circles and other community events by setting up your membership at paradigmshiftcentral.com. Start your free trial today to participate in these and other events on air, including members-only events. Please respect the instructions of the facilitator of the circle. Please respect the intention of the space. Please respect your fellow members. To add to the circle, please blink your mute microphone or use the raise hand button in Zoom, or literally just raise your hand on camera to let the facilitator know that you'd like to share. Please wait for the facilitator's prompt to speak. Circles generally go to the top of the hour. We will conclude with gratitude at 5 minutes to the hour. Please tell your friends and invite others who may be interested in Paradigm Shift Central. Thank you so much for joining and contributing, and enjoy. So, with that said, we're going to get right into today's discussion. And so with these discussions, we've done a lot of these paradigm shift circle discussions in the past. And I usually like to remind people that like this is a chance for us to really just kind of like arrive into our heart space and to kind of like find that balance between mind and heart, where we're allowing ourselves to kind of like feel the responses coming through. Because, you know, every time we create this space where we get to ask questions, there's a chance for you to be able to listen to yourself. So we're here to listen to each other, and we're here to listen to ourselves as well. So I'll start things off, and then from there, we'll just kind of like pass the talk and stick around, and we'll be mindful of the time, and then we'll be wrapped up before the end of the hour. And for the people listening to this, we hope this, again, just kind of like plant some seeds, shift some paradigms, and nurtures your spiritual batteries. So let's take a moment here. I'm just going to kind of tap into my own heart space, and I'll start off. All right. So the question, what does being spiritual mean to you? What does being spiritual mean to me? So for me, this is a very interesting question. And it's a question that I've definitely gone back to many times before. Even within Paradigm Shift, there have been numerous times where this question has come up. And even though, you know, I've explored this question before, what's interesting is the idea that, you know, that was 6 months ago, that was a year ago, that was 5 years ago. As we change, our response to this question change. So where I am now, I'm curious to even hear for myself, what is my response to this question? What does being spiritual mean to me? To me, in short, I'll just share here and then we'll start passing it around. to me, being spiritual, and I kind of talked about this briefly in a little video that I posted ahead of time. For me, part of being spiritual, because it's a big answer, is about relations. It's about being able to deepen our relationships, being able to deepen our relationship with ourselves, with our environment, with other people, and with the universe. Because I think spirituality in itself is a journey. Like, what is spirituality in itself? Like, what is spirit? Like, these are questions within the question that we obviously want to be able to kind of like bring into this conversation as well. So for me, the journey of spirituality and being spiritual and understanding what it means to be spiritual is the process of literally shifting one's paradigm to begin opening up a bigger perspective of our relationship to the world around us and ultimately our potential within it. To me, being spiritual is being able to have a personal understanding about the idea that there is more to this reality than meets the eye. And this is where we start getting into the concept of spirit. So when people usually use the term spirit, it's interesting because it's often juxtaposed to like physical. It's like, oh, there's the physical and there's the spirit. And I think these definitions are kind of changing as we change as well. And so, when we think about the idea of like, well, spirit is kind of thought of as like the unseen, the etheric, the energetic. And so for me, being spiritual is understanding that this is a part of our reality, but then also seeking to be able to develop a deeper meaning of what this is to us. I'll just finish off here. To me, again, like, what does it mean to be spiritual? It means seeking to be able to like know that this relationship, this understanding between ourselves and this concept is going to be unique for us. We're going to learn from each other, but ultimately it's not about, we learn from each other, but my own unique relationship between myself and spirituality is the most important relationship for me to be able to develop a constant understanding. And I'll just finish off here. And also, again, spirituality is the journey of knowing thyself. Gnosis teipsum. It is a journey of the ages. It is the hero's journey. It is a journey that we have seen 1,000 times in 1,000 different stories. And in the process of knowing thyself, we get to know the universe. We get to know each other. We get to understand more of what it means to be a spiritual being, ... So let's keep passing the talk and stick around and we'll kind of go from there. So whoever wants to go next, just go ahead and raise your hand and we'll get a quick cue of the order and then we'll pass it around based on who wants to go next. So who would like to go next? And I'll just pass it over to you and then we'll go from there. So we got Natasha and Kristen and then Shayna. So we'll go in that order and anybody else, again, just kind of jump in as we go. So with that said, we'll pass it over to Natasha. Natasha, thank you so much for joining. You can, again, just kind of like say hello real quick and then we'll get right into your response. So let's pass the talking stick over to Natasha. Go ahead, Natasha. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. I'm Natasha, fellow human being, fellow alien, I don't know what I am, but anyway, my definition or what is spirituality to me, I feel like that's constantly evolving, of course, and I was definitely, as I was listening to you, Brendon, I was reminding myself to listen with my body. Like in mindfulness, we talk about listening with our bodies. And for me, spirituality is very much about like finding that balance between mind and body and really being able to receive. And then I remember one of my teachers saying, receive and then listen later. And that really resonates with me. So it's very much about, I think, knowing thyself, as you mentioned, and being able to act from intuition and instinct as opposed to really being involved with the mind. And the mind can be a beautiful place. And I've definitely come from a mind heavy place throughout my life and in my spiritual journey. And at this point, my mind's exhausted. It's like, I can't think anymore. Please, there's a whole body here. Please bring attention to the rest of it. And so that's my journey right now. It's just bringing attention back to the body, listening with the body, paying attention. There's stuff in there that wants attention and just honoring that and bringing myself back to like my natural instincts and intuition. So yeah, thank you for listening, everyone.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Natasha. We'll pass it over to Kristen. And I love what you said there, like spirituality and being spiritual, like listening to like the subtleties, like the subtle energies. And that's something we can talk more about as we go. Kristen, passing it over to you. Welcome. And when you're ready, go right ahead.
Hello, Brendon. Hello, Natasha. Hello, Shayna and beautiful Candace and everyone else that's joining this. I'm really grateful to be here. And Brendon, these topics are always inspiring, so thank you for holding space for this. Um, Being spiritual has been a journey, like you mentioned, and ever evolving. I think one of the best things that I've learned on my journey for being spiritual is understanding that it's about cultivating curiosity for the more, the what's beyond what you see with your eyes, and seeing that things can be connected in a way that can bring inspiration. And also, I feel too that really cultivating like community and awareness within one another has been a really big part of being spiritual, to see that like it's not just me alone on my journey in my own little boat, but it's a collective and we're all learning and growing together. And so being open-minded, flexible, and curious has been a really big components for me along my spiritual journey. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. And Shayna, we can pass it over to you next. And yeah, again, just echoing what Kristen said, I think connection is definitely a big word. You know, like with when you start opening up to spirituality, it's like, oh my goodness, that's a theme that we reach, right? It's like everything is connected. And so like, what is our awareness of those connections? Shayna, welcome. Go right ahead when you're ready.
Okay, I really love this question too, because I think you guys are all spot on, and you're so right, Brendon. Like every few months, your answer is going to change, you know? And before I even started my spiritual journey, I always just assumed spirituality, you would have to kind of like disconnect yourself from the world. Like, you know, you think of like a monk, right? And yes, that is spirituality, but that's like a whole nother level to spirituality where you're completely cut off, separate. So prior to, you know, starting my own spiritual journey, I assumed I couldn't party anymore. I couldn't have drinks with my friends. I couldn't do none of this stuff. And then as I delve into it and I evolve, I realize that's really not what it's about. I am trying to find myself, but I'm trying to find myself in these moments of connecting with people that I wouldn't have otherwise tried to connect with, or that I wouldn't have seen myself communicating with. Because, you know, society has us in this like, they separate us in so many different factions, right? We've got race, we've got people who go to college, don't go to college, straight, gays, right? Like we're separated so much. And I think because we're separated, we sway away from the fact that we all still have connections, you know? And so I think with us, you know, with spirituality, it gets you closer together. It makes you more compassionate. Sorry, I have a guest here. And so, you know, it just sways us to learn more about each other and be more compassionate, and to realize that even though we're all different, we're still also very much the same and very much connected. And, you know, we're all one. So that's my version of spirituality.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Shayna. Beautiful. Just checking in. Candace or Lacey, if either of you guys want to go next, we'll pass over to Candace next. And then Lacey, if at that point you're available to, feel free to jump in. And yeah, lots of beautiful insight being shared so far. We'll keep things rolling. And Candace, when you're ready, we'll pass it right over to you. So go ahead and welcome Candace.
I was going to say spirituality for me used to flip back and forth, but lately, like I used to find spirituality scary because I thought that I was always on my own. So just in the last while, I just see that I'm definitely spiritually guided, and I also see that I have a responsibility to not ignore the subtle signs. And when I choose to listen and not like skim past a decision quick, that life works. Like truth just drops in and says, this is where it's at, and this is where it is at the moment. So don't not don't but recognize the moment and just go on the direct path, because that's what I'm meant to do instead of resisting it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Candace, so much for sharing. Again, even just as we're chatting here, like I'm taking notes here, and like it's wonderful because there's a lot of ideas that are just kind of like sparking for me. I'm going to share just a little bit here. Lacey, just kind of like blink your microphone or just say hello or something if you want to go next, because you're just obviously off camera right now. But if you do want to jump in at any moment, just let us know. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. So I'll just say a couple things real quick. So again, with some of the stuff that we talked about, there's a couple things that I just kind of want to reiterate, and this may like segue into something Lacey may have to say as well. Yeah, like for me, spirituality, it's interesting because like with spirituality, a word that kind of keeps coming up to mind with me is responsibility. And so it's like, okay, like spirituality is an awareness. It's a state of consciousness. And then that's kind of what happens, right? Like as your consciousness expands, your spirituality expands with it. So like consciousness and spirituality are kind of one and the same. They're a little bit different. They're kind of different ways of explaining something similar. But with this, it's like your spirituality, this is the other thing that really kind of came to me as we were talking about this. Spirituality is like, using your free will for like a higher purpose to be able to show up in service. But then with that, it's also becoming aware of the idea that your role as like a person who aligns themselves with spirituality is to become more in tune and to intentionally bring ourselves back to center. So it's interesting though, because it's not to say, like spirituality is like always being in our center. And that's the thing, right? Like different people are going to have their own relationship with spirituality, and different people could be going, like through like the worst things in their life and still be spiritual, or people can just kind of like completely abandon a concept of spirituality, and that's totally okay. But for me, like being spiritual is kind of this idea that, it's an understanding that our nature as spiritual beings is understanding that we are like conduits for consciousness. And then with this, it's about tuning ourselves, bringing ourselves back to center, bringing ourselves back to the heart space, which is so much of what all of these paradigm shift central events are here to be able to do, to help remind us how to bring ourselves back to the heart space, back to the heart cave. And then in doing that, that's where we kind of, again, become, like we can tune our instrument to be able to kind of like bring more of this clarity and this compassion and this creativity into the world as a form of service, to be able to do things such as like inspire people, assist people, heal people, motivate people, to have these conversations that are going to plant seeds and help other people have those aha moments, right? So like for me, spirituality is kind of having those aha moments and then wanting to be able to assist others in having their own aha moments without giving them the answers, but knowing that this like bigger truth, this bigger awareness, this journey of awakening is literally inside each and every single one of us. So being spiritual is aligning ourselves intentionally with like a path of awakening, a journey to lucidity. Anyways, there's more stuff. We'll pass it over to Lacey. Lacey, are you ready? I'll pass it over to you, and go ahead. And when you're ready, Lacey, welcome.
Yeah. So I love what you're saying. And this is such an interesting topic. And I was just like thinking about like my own relationship with spirituality as a spiritual being. And it really makes me think about, we're born into these physical vessels as conduits for spirit from the moment we come through, right? Like I think babies, like children, are so close to the source that, they are spiritual you know. And it's interesting when you spend time with children, it's quite easy to notice the subtle energies. And you know, for me, like, it's like paying attention, like someone was saying, listening. It's like listening and witnessing and looking, kind of seeing the code, you know, like, you know, the Matrix is very much like that. You know, you're seeing the code, and when you're able to see that, you know, life is much more magical. Yeah, I wrote a bunch of stuff down, but it's like I was gonna put it in the chat. Yeah, now it's gone, but so yeah, I would say, like, for me, you know, spirituality is just the journey of remembering, because we're always close to spirit. It's just we almost forget or something like that, and then it's like, you know, you grow up, all this noise, all this chaos, and then if, you know, you just happen to come across it, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this. It never left you, right? Like, it was always there. So for me, it's just like, it's just a way of being. We all are like that. We all, I don't know how to say it, but it's like someone said, like, we are all one. And that's a really good way to say it. It's like, it's just a place, you know? Another thing I was going to say was, like, for me, being spiritual is like, you know, just wanting to grow, just wanting to be the best us, like that, even that in itself, like, you don't have to like pray to any like higher, you know, it's just being with yourself and wanting to do good on the planet and be kind to people. And that is the act of spirit moving through you. Making right choices when you're faced with like maybe like difficult stuff. And then also being spiritual is diving into the shadow, diving into the darker parts of humanity. And, you know, some of the greatest minds were like spiritual minds, and gurus were, you know, simple people that wanted to just help people and raise the vibration of the planet, right? So just by being the best them. So I'm not very good with words, but I hope I was able to explain it's just a way of being. It's an energy, and the energy is contagious. Like, I don't know. It's really beautiful. So yeah, that's all I'll say for now.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Lacey. We'll get ourselves ready to keep passing the talk and stick around. So whoever wants to go next, just go ahead and raise your hand now, and we'll create another queue again so I can start passing the talk and stick around. I'll just kind of speak for a little bit until anybody else is ready to jump in. So again, you guys can just raise your hand as you're ready. But yeah, again, you know, the beautiful discussion that we've got so far, a lot of very powerful themes, and there's like many topics within this topic that we could spend an entire circle discussion diving into as well. But again, you know, with this, the idea of like, what does being spiritual mean to you? So with this, you know, like spirituality, it becomes a way of living. And with this, you know, like again, it's like, I think with spirituality, if our goal is to be able to kind of like, you know, to be here on this planet and to use the limited time that we have in a meaningful way, I think there's again, you know, like if we're kind of like choosing that that's what spirituality means to us, then with that, you know, it also invites in this opportunity to be able to bring more awareness into more ways that we can align ourselves with our own spirituality. So this means, you know, intentionally aligning ourselves with practices, with paths, with teachings, with teachers, you know, the practice of cultivating our will, right? So I mean, like you can say like, oh, I'm aware of spirituality, but then I'm just going to spend, you know, like 90% of my week just like, you know, like playing video games and eating shitty food and being a troll online and watching like, you know, the shows on repeat and all of these things and stuff like that. Again, it's like no judgment if that's what you want to do. Like if that's your relationship and everything like that, that's okay, right? Like it's whatever. We're not here to necessarily like determine like what everyone else is going to do with their limited time here on this planet. But for those of us who do feel that, you know, like with the opportunity that we have here, you know, like to be able to, you know, like really what I feel, what we want to do is we kind of want to be able to like activate like our body of light while we're here, right? So it's like to treat your like spiritual, see, that's the thing. I think like being spiritual means like having a degree of respect for the gifts that we have been given, aka this body. So it's kind of an interesting thing. It's just like, oh, like okay, yeah, I'm spiritual, but then I'm just like treating my own body like crap and I'm treating other people like crap. Like that's like giving like the middle finger to the universe, who's like giving you this opportunity, that's giving you this gift. So I mean, you can be like, you know, like I don't know, it's weird. I don't want it to sound like super judgy and everything like that, but it's like you can still be spiritual and still be like a crappy person. You can be an asshole and stuff like that, and not even just an asshole towards yourself, towards others, but also towards yourself and everything. And it's like, hey, if that's your path, that's your path. And sometimes, honestly, sometimes that's all of our paths. But the thing is that it's like, okay, we'll go into those spaces and then it's like, do we stay there or do we find our way back? Right. So it's not necessarily that side of the path is the wrong side of the path. It's just kind of that is, you know, part of the ebb and the flow. But as long as we're intentionally knowing that it's part of the process to be able to bring ourselves back to the flow, again, you know, being spiritual to me in a very practical sense, this is why you'll hear people talking about this. It's things such as simple as connecting with nature. Like for some people, what does being spiritual mean to you? For me, being spiritual means going for a walk in nature at least once a week. That is my practice. That is my church. That is my reverence. That is where I connect with God, where I connect with the spirit, and I'm reminded of that. I am in the presence and awe of the teachers of the forest, of the spirits. You're communing. You're, again, going right back to what I said. It is about bringing more conscious awareness to the relationship. So what is your relationship with yourself and your relationship with nature, with your practices, with teachers, everything like that? And as spiritual beings, what does it look like when we seek to be able to cultivate healthier relationships, you know, like deeper relationships, meaningful relationships? And again, I think out of doing this, it propels us into a new state of ourselves. It literally helps, again, kind of like activate our potential, activate our light body. You know, literally you can go through this entire life and kind of plateau. Or you can literally kind of look at, you know, like being a spiritual being. It's like, oh, with this, it's like you can get really good at manifesting within this dream, serving others. You can get good at dreaming, lucid dreaming, astral projecting. You can activate your latent psychic abilities. You can get really good at being a creative conduit, creating, you know, tapping into flow space and playing as well, right? So I'll just say this, and then again, who wants to go next? Just go ahead and raise your hand now so I know who to pass it to. Chris, I'll pass it to you. Again, you know, with this, I think for me, being spiritual, yes, it's the journey, but it is the journey of in knowing myself on a personal level and a grand cosmic level. It is also the idea of cultivating like this eternal, I don't even know if like the word, like I'm trying to think of the best word, but it's like an eternal like joy or an eternal happiness or an eternal gratitude, something that cannot be taken away. Even on like the shittiest of days, you, because of your perspective and your relationship and your higher understanding of the nature of reality and how things work, and how even, you know, being spiritual is from one perspective, understanding that this reality is literally here to evolve our consciousness, not just to make us happy all the time, but to evolve our consciousness. So, you know, when we cultivate this through experience and through deeper understanding and through studying and everything like this, it gets us to the point where, you know, like regardless of what happens or what somebody says to us, we will have like this crystalline ball of joy or of respect or of gratitude or of reverence that cannot be taken away. And I think the more that we can intentionally craft that, you know, like that's like the philosopher's stone that they speak of and everything like that. That's what we're here to do. You know, like spirituality is reaching the end of this journey and being like, yes, like what a gift, what a ride, what a joy. So, you know, like for me, being spiritual, everything like that, it's appreciating the gift of life. and it's living in joy and it's living in love. But at the same time, what's already been said, it's also about being courageous, going into the dark, doing the healing. It's all of those things. It's again, it's the responsibility that comes with the role of being human. And it's not just about us, it's about, you know, the bigger us, so to speak. So spirituality is seeing ourselves in the reflections of others. So anyways, let's keep things going along here. We'll pass over to Kristen. And again, just a quick note, again, for anybody who's tuned into this, if you guys are enjoying this conversation, drop those 1111s in the chat. Feel free to let us know, comment in the YouTube. If you guys are watching this already and you might want to join in for the last 20 minutes, again, quick reminder that you can join in for this and other Paradigm Shift Central events by creating your membership at paradigmshiftcentral.com. You can start your free 10-day membership trial. If you guys are already my Patreon members, you guys already got the Zoom link for this as well. And yeah, we would love to be able to have you join in for all of these ongoing events that we got. So thank you to our members and thank you to everyone for being a part of this. Kristen, let's pass it over to you. And who would like to go after Kristen just to get a quick cue on things? We'll pass it over to whoever wants to go. Yeah, we'll pass over to Natasha. All right. Okay, Kristen, when you're ready, go right ahead.
I wanted to share a little bit on something that many of you have talked upon, and that's about how spirit speaks, or how we learn to listen, and whether it's listening with our bodies or listening with our minds, or if we're listening to just spirit speak. I think that's been something that Brendon, you mentioned, like deepening our practice or deepening our spirituality. And for me, being able to learn how spirit speaks to me in tandem with how I speak to myself, and being able to really listen to when my body is trying to tell me like, hey, you need to do this thing, and I'm feeling motivated by my ego to do this other thing, and then maybe spirit's guiding me in a direction to learn and expand in this, way, and being able to find a balance between them. And for me, it's been about finding that internal peace. Like, I don't need to always find that exuberance, but if I can always find peace, then I know that I can really like overcome any obstacles or move through any deterrences, or achieve whatever I'm looking for. And so spirituality too has been also like understanding the knowledge of what has come before us, because we know what we know today, and we're able to expand because of the pioneers that have explored the depths of spirituality before we got to it. And so being able to dive into the many different channels, whether it's learning about different religions or concepts, or even for me, like really learning about nature and the Earth's history and even space, and understanding that spirituality is everything. It doesn't have to be limited to just like crystals and prayers, but it can be driving down the road singing your songs, and going out into the field and dancing with the flowers, like whatever floats your boat. But also learning to really respect that. Like, the more you understand what works for you, you're honoring your process and you're honoring others around you as well. So yeah, that's what I had to share. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kristen. Again, just as we're talking here, like there's so many more ideas. And I think peace was the word I was trying to think of earlier when we were talking. It's like, what's that word? That one where like things feel decent and stuff like that. Peace. Oh yeah. I think that's the word. So beautiful. All right. Natasha, we'll pass it over to you. Who wants to go after Natasha again? Just go ahead and let me know at any point, and we'll keep things rolling here. So Natasha, when you're ready, go right ahead.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm feeling so many tingles as you guys are speaking. I feel like really in my body right now, actually, which I feel like is the most I've ever felt, honestly, because you just forget. This is still a relatively new concept to me, of just listening with my body, being aware, and like to pick up on that whole conversation of like the subtleties. I feel like when we listen with our bodies, it's we're picking up on energy, right? And there's stuff we can pick up on and receive that isn't language, isn't words. And that I find that language can be really beautiful in expressing ourselves and expressing a message. And then at the same time, there are things language can't convey. And there are things that we can pick up on that language just could never truly express. So I'm just really listening to that now. And the body, I feel like for me, so much of the spiritual journey is also just about accepting things as they are. just being able to receive a person as they are right now is really important to me, or a circumstance. And of course we can change things, and that's important to take care of our well-being. But I suppose in the sense of like, you know, just being accepting of where others are on their journey, or just understanding that people need to learn things for themselves. And that's why I bring it back to the body, because the body listens with no judgment. And so when I listen with the body, then I'm just fully accepting what's happening right now. And yeah, I don't know, it's a magical practice. So thank you guys for showing up as yourselves. This has been, I'm just like feeling so many tingles, enjoying this moment, which is priceless.
Thank you, Natasha. Yeah, thank you, everyone. This is wonderful so far. Again, you know, these conversations, they nurture something inside of us. They light us up. They get us excited. The more of these conversations we have, the more we're kind of connecting dots and seeing things, and really being able to, again, deepen our appreciation as well. A couple things I'll just say here real quick, and then again, who wants to go next, just go ahead and let me know. Shayna, we'll pass over to you, and then Lacey or Candace, you let us know when you want to go. Yeah, a couple things when it comes to like being spiritual, a couple key words. Trust is a big word that kind of, you know, comes to mind. And again, I think trust also comes with kind of, it comes through wisdom. To just blindly trust is one thing, but I think as we kind of go through these journeys within our, you know, like what is being spiritual? Being spiritual is being human long enough to be able to observe patterns. And then you kind of go through these experiences where we go through the ebbs and the flows, the highs and the lows, and yet we come out of things and we're just like, whoa, even though what I went through wasn't really a situation that I wanted to go through, where I am right now feels like I'm exactly where I need to be. And there's a deep level of kind of gratitude that kind of becomes, you know, that comes cultivated out of that. So, you know, like spirituality isn't just about like getting and getting and getting. Spirituality is also the process of letting go through will, and then sometimes learning how to have to let go because of like the bigger will that's kind of like taking place, where it's like, you know, you either like hold on and suffer, or you kind of like let go. And again, you know, the other word that I had was being spiritual. It's about aligning ourselves with the flow of nature, you know. So being spiritual, in the same way a forest grows, like nobody tells the forest how to do its thing. Nobody tells a tree how to do its thing. Yet it does it so well and so perfectly. And can we do it? We as humans, we have this very interesting dynamic where we have this free will to kind of go outside of our nature. It's kind of what makes us unique. So how do we align back with our nature, back into this flow, and then out of this, again, kind of like invite in more of this magic that we've talked about as well. Shayna, we'll pass over to you. And then again, whoever wants to go next, just go ahead and raise your hand at any point, and we'll keep an eye on the time and we'll get close to wrap things up. Lacey, we'll pass over to you next, and then Candace, whenever you want to go, that's fine. Go ahead, Shayna.
I just wanted to touch base or add on to what both you, Brendon, and Natasha said. I feel like acceptance is such a huge thing. And because I am going through my own spiritual journey, you know, I've become a lot more conscious and kind of like, you know, I see the bigger picture in certain situations. And when I talk to other people in my circle, like close friends, family, even my husband, right? Sometimes it gets very frustrating because we're not on the same level spiritually, but I have to learn. I mean, you know, these are my family members. I love them. I would never cut them off just because we're not on the same page. So it's part of my spiritual journey to accept that and to realize, like what Natasha said, you can't, you know, everybody has to learn at their own pace. You can't force them to learn things because it's just, they're not at that level yet. And so it's within me to be able to accept that and be thankful that, you know, we are different people. And it just kind of shows, I think it kind of teaches me to be more, you know, more compassionate and more willing to just talk more, right? And be open with each other and accept each other's opinions. So that's it.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Lacey, we'll pass over to you, and then Candace, if you'd like to go after Lacey, just let us know. Go ahead, Lacey.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to that. Absolutely. I think, you know, in the spiritual journey, acceptance of others is so huge. And for myself personally, in my early 20s, when, you know, I started to really dive deeper into my spiritual practice, I found, it was hard to relate to some people. But ultimately, you know, Ram Dass talks about, you know, when you know how to listen, everyone's a guru. So, you know, even if people aren't on the same necessary wavelength as us, there's so much to learn from them. And another thing I wanted to add was, you know, we talk about like, oh, like listening to nature. We're listening to ourselves, right? We're listening to ourselves. Another really great thing to practice with spirituality is looking into your ancestral lineage in your past. I found for me, learning who I am, you know, as someone that has been removed from tribe, has been removed from this connection to my lineage's spirituality. Diving into that has been so rewarding for me. You know, I'm a very like visual person, so like what I picture is like someone actually like diving into the abyss, into this very dark, unknown place. And on your spiritual journey, like there's gonna be a lot of darkness too, right? There's gonna be a lot of masks. I've talked a lot about that before. Like for me, it's been like, I think I've reached like, you know, like a certain level. I'm like, yeah, like I got it figured out. Like, but then there's more to uncover. And that's what it means to be spiritual. It's just this constant inner voice that you need to listen to and check in with, and checking in with yourself, and knowing that I you know, we said like, oh, be okay with other people, but also be okay with where you're at too. It's like, maybe, you know, I'm not exactly where I want to be, but that's okay right now. And that's very spiritual as well. It's just the act of surrender and being at peace with things, but also actively like, you know, putting the work in as well. So it's a balance, but yeah. And oh, wait, River wanted to say something. Hold on.
Of course he does. Go ahead, River.
Okay.
See what he wants to say. You have to listen with your heart, not just with your ears.
He says, follow your heart, right? And love everyone, right?
You're so cute. River,
What about?
River, Auntie Candace loves you.
Loves
everyone.
There you go. One thing again, you know, in terms of being spiritual, I'll just say this real quick, and then Candace, I'll pass over to you, and then we're gonna close into closing thoughts. Again, you know, spirituality, again, it's being able to, again, like this word of service. And so for me, like spirituality is not just thinking about what we can get, but it's thinking about what we can give, and literally in a generational sense. Spirituality is serving the tribe, like literally generationally. And I think a lot of us, again, everyone who's tuned into this, that's what we want. Like we want to be able to see a better world for people. And again, and we're doing it literally through having these conversations, through bringing more art, through changing, you know, the world by just being able to change ourselves. It's such an important thing. So, you know, like every day is an opportunity to be able to help make this world a better place. And I think when we align ourselves with our own understanding of spirituality, it's also being able to just like naturally listen to, like, you know, like where that path is guiding us today, knowing that each day is going to be a little bit different. Sometimes it's inwards, sometimes it's outwards. So yeah, again, Lacey, I love what you were talking about. I had that written down, the idea of, again, you know, like everyone is your teacher. Again, consciousness is a mirror test. It's being able to see yourself and your surroundings. The one thing that we didn't touch upon just yet, but it was alluded to, but again, just to explicitly, it's like spirituality is also understanding it's like you are a multi-dimensional being having a human experience, and what does that mean, right? And I think we'll talk more about that on another circle discussion as well. So Candace, I'll pass it over to you, and then let's go around the circle one more time, and then we'll be done for today. So Candace, when you're ready, go right ahead.
Hi. Well, I just want to say that spiritual is like, I guess when I think of spirituality, I also think of like you're driving a car, and when I think about going about my day, and I envision myself driving lots of paradigm shift, magic cars. So I just think spiritual essence of being the being giving myself the freedom to be in the unknown, and like just not like knowing the direction, or just being in the space of being surprised, is also spiritually connected, because it's that unknown that the universe like is craftily working on designing the perfect life. And like spirit, when I think of that way, that spirit's way of saying, hey, we like to play and surprise you. And so when I tap into that, it's really unique. It can be scary, but when you step over when I step over the fear and just step into the bliss, it's really powerful magic.
Wonderfully said. Thank you. Thank you, Candace. Yeah, it's a little axiom that I kind of say to myself, fall in love with the mystery of the unknown. And again, I think spirituality is constantly, we are constantly moving into these edges of the unknown, right? To stay inside of our comfort zone is to never truly grow. So it's like finding those edges of unknown within the world, unknown within ourselves, and then kind of like, being spiritual is being an explorer. It's being a seeker, right? Like it's being someone who's kind of like moving into new frontiers, both within the inner realms and into this world around us. So yeah, beautiful conversation. And again, I'm just so grateful for all of us to be here. And obviously there's a lot more for us to be able to talk about, and that's okay, right? The one thing I'll just say, and then we'll just go around the circle one more time. Spirituality for me, it's about living the question, like what does being spiritual mean to you today and tomorrow? And keep asking yourself and keep living this question, and allow yourself to just kind of like, let the answers arrive to you through the many different ways in which they can. And then again, to intentionally be able to seek to, if you wish, it's just like, well, maybe I would like to be able to bring in a deeper relationship between myself and spirituality. And what does that mean to you? So let's just go around the circle one more time. Who would like to be able to go next? And then we'll just kind of wrap things up here. So I think Shayna might have to head out. So Shayna, thank you again. If you are here, feel free to jump in. Chris and Natasha. Yeah, go ahead, Kristen. We'll pass it over to you. And then Natasha, if you want to go next, we can kind of stick with that order. Go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brendon, for creating this space, and lots of gratitude for everyone coming and sharing their wisdom. And Brendon, extra thanks for the adventures into the unknown, because that's definitely a concept you shared that has been something that's really been beautiful. And Lacey, I love your visualization of diving into the abyss. And whenever I went there, it was like you dive into the abyss and it's all dark, but then you keep going and then somehow you burst through the light. It's like, but then it's a cyclical circle, and you just, so anyways, love that visual. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, Candace, you are always dropping wisdom. I love the space. Can we all have paradigm spaceships, or are these electric? I'm not sure what your vision is, but I want one, please. And yes, Natasha, your heart wisdom is always beautiful.
Yeah, they're electric wheelchairs. Everyone can drive them.
Awesome. Kristen, anything else, or is that's good? Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. All right, Natasha, we'll go around. So again, just closing thoughts, closing gratitude, and then we'll be done for today. So go ahead, Natasha.
Yeah, just wanted to drop some major gratitude. Love each and every one of you. Thank you for everyone tuning in and contributing to energy, even if you're not here physically. I appreciated everything you guys had to say, and thank you, Brendon, for always hosting this space. It's always magical. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Natasha. And Lacey or Candace, if either of you guys just want to go one more time, go ahead, Lacey. Yep.
Yeah, I guess my like closing thoughts are, if you're listening and you're new on your spiritual journey, I think, just really saying yes to what your heart is asking you is like such a powerful thing. And I think a lot of us, it's very simple, but a lot of us don't know how to say yes to that, to our heart space and like what it desires. And I think for me, I would say like, yeah, just really start leaning into that and aligning yourself with what it's calling, and yeah, that's what I will say for my closing little thing. Anyway, so and looking forward to more of these circle discussions in the future. So thanks,
Awesome.
Brendon.
Thank you, Lacey. Yeah, and even just from us talking here today, it's getting some ideas for future circle discussions. And yeah, I would say, just some closing thoughts, and I'll pass it to Candace real quick, and then we'll just finish it off. Yeah, like getting, practicing listening to our hearts. If we can really just keep it as simple as that, then that's a great direction that will just kind of lead us into everything else. Candace, did you want to share just one more closing thought or gratitude? Go for it.
Yeah, I just want to say, listening to the soul of the heart and the silence of being in the stillness of beauty is where everything is at.
Wonderful. Thank you, Candace. Beautifully said. Yeah, again, like with this, what I would hope is that, again, like more people just become aware of the magic of the world around them, and to understand that they too are a part of that magic. That for me has always been, it's just like, oh, like if I could kind of simplify what I do, like I want to be a person that helps people see more of the magic within this world and the magic within themselves. So for everyone here, let us be a reflection for you to be able to see more of that magic inside of you, and go out there, go into the woods, go look at some plants, go hang out with trees and everything like that. Talk to the trees, talk to teachers, like talk to people, talk to yourself, do some journaling, do some meditating, just allow yourself to really be open to the many gifts and opportunities that this reality has for you. So with that said, we will wrap things up. And again, encouraging everyone to continue this conversation with people in your life. So again, what does being spiritual mean to you? And of course, thank you, Shayna, as well. Shayna did leave a comment in the chat. Thank you, Shayna, as well, for joining in. And yeah, again, from here, just continuing to have these conversations. Go ask a friend, like go ask someone or post this online. What does being spiritual mean to them? Have these conversations more. And yeah, with this, we'll be able to just continue to move from one topic into the next. So we'll be back here for more Paradigm Shift Central Circle discussions every Tuesday at 5 p.m. EDT for the time being, until if we choose to change the schedule, we may do that in the future, but we'll let you know. And again, if you haven't already yet, be sure to check out paradigmshiftcentral.com for more upcoming events that we have. Again, a quick reminder, we have a full moon meditation coming up Wednesday at 10 p.m. EDT, June 15th. And then on Thursday, we have our very special Flowetry workshop circle that I'll be hosting, which is all about learning how to be able to tap into our heart space, tap into creative expression through spoken word, song, flowetry, light language, all of these awesome things. So again, for all the members here, you guys are invited to that. If you guys aren't already a member yet, go to paradigmshiftcentral.com. You can start your membership trial there, and you can check out all the awesome events that we got coming your way. And yeah, stay tuned. There's a lot more still to come. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check out Spotify, Paradigm Shift Radio, youtube.com/Skull Babylon. And you can also find the links for all the creators in this episode in the YouTube info. So be sure to go give them a follow. And we'll wrap it up there. So for everybody here, go ahead and unmute your microphones, and we'll say farewell and until next time to the people tuning into this. So keep it shifty, guys. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Have an awesome day. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Awesome. Thanks again, everyone. Much love.
Brendon, I